Jurisdiction national holiday. Independence Day, October 24th, 1964. Executive branch. President, Prime Minister, Cabinet Legislative branch. Unicameral National Assembly Judicial branch. Supreme Court leaders. Chief of State. President Dr. Kenneth David Kaunda, since October 24th, 1964. Head of Government, Prime Minister General Malimba Mashik, since March 15th, 1989. Political parties and leaders. Only party. United National Independence Party, UNIP, Kenneth Kaunda suffrage. Universal at age 18 elections. President. Last held October 26th, 1988. Next to be held October 1993. Results: President Kenneth Kaunda was re-elected without opposition. National Assembly. Last held October 26th, 1988. Next to be held October 1993. Results: UNIP is the only party. Seats: 136 total, 125 elected. UNIP 125 communists. No Communist Party member of ACP, AFDB, CCC, Commonwealth. FAO G77 GATT, de facto. IBRD, ICAO, IDA, IA, IFAD, IFC, ILO, ILZ, IMF, Intelsat, Interpol, IPU, ITU, NEM, OUSCC, UN, UNESCO, UPU, WHO, WIPO, WMO, WDO, Diplomatic Representation, Ambassador Paul J.F., Lusaka, Chancery at 2419, Massachusetts Avenue Northwest, Washington, D.C., 20008, telephone 202-265-9717 through 9721, U.S., Ambassador Jeffrey Davido. Embassy at corner of Independence Avenue and United Nations Avenue, Lusaka. Mailing address is P.O. Box 31617, Lusaka. Telephone 26010-214911 flag. Green with a panel of 3 vertical bands of red, hoist side. Black and orange below, a soaring orange eagle. On the outer edge of the flag. Economy overview. Despite temporary growth in 1988, the economy has been in decline for more than a decade with falling imports and growing foreign debt. Economic difficulties stem from a sustained drop in copper production and ineffective economic policies. In 1988, real GDP stood only slightly higher than that of 10 years before, while an annual population growth of more than 3% has brought a decline in per capita GDP of 25% during the same period. A high inflation rate has also added to Zambia's economic woes in recent years. GDP: $4.0 billion, per capita $530. Real growth rate 6.7%. 1988. Inflation rate. Consumer prices 55.7%. 1988. Unemployment rate. An 8% budget. Revenues $570 million. Expenditures $939 million, including capital expenditures of $36 million. 1988 EST. Exports $1,184 million. FOB 1988. Commodities: copper, zinc, cobalt. Lead: tobacco. Partners: EC, Japan, South Africa. U.S. imports $687 million. CF 1988. Commodities: machinery, transportation equipment, foodstuffs, fuels, manufacturers. Partners: EC, Japan, South Africa. U.S. external debt $6.9 billion. December 1989. Industrial production. Growth rate in 8%. 1986. Electricity: 1,900,000 kilowatts capacity. 8,245 million kilowatt hours produced. 1,050 kilowatt hours per capita. 1989. Industries: copper mining and processing, transport, construction, foodstuffs, beverages, chemicals, textiles, and fertilizer. Agriculture accounts for 15% of GDP and 85% of labor force. Crops: corn, food staple, sorghum, rice, peanuts, sunflower, tobacco, cotton, sugarcane, cassava, cattle, goats, beef, eggs produced. Marginally self-sufficient in corn aid. U.S. commitments, including Exim, 1970 to 88, for $166 million. Western, non-U.S. countries, ODA and OOF bilateral commitments, 1970 to 87, for $0.2 billion. OPEC bilateral aid, 1979 to 89, $60 million. Communist countries, 1970 to 88, $533 million currency. Zambian kwacha, plural, kwacha, 1 Zambian kwacha, sk, equals 100 ngui exchange rates. Zambian kwacha, ZK, per 1 US dollar, 21.7865, January 1990, 12.9032, 1989, 8.2237, 1988, 8.8889, 1987, 7.3046, 1986, 2.7137, 1985, fiscal year. Calendar year. Communications railroads. 1,266 kilometers, all 1.067 meter gauge. 13 kilometers double-track highways. 36,370 kilometers total. 6,500 kilometers paved, 7,000 kilometers crushed stone, gravel, or stabilized soil. 22,870 kilometers improved and unimproved earth inland waterways. 2,250 kilometers, including Zambezi and Luapula rivers. Lake Tanganyika pipelines. 1,724 km crude oil ports. Mpulungu, Lake Port, Civil Air. 6 major transport aircraft airports. 121 total, 106 usable. 13 with permanent surface runways. 1 with runways over 3,659 m. 4 with runways 2,440 to 3,659 m. 22 with runways 1,220 to 2,439 m. Telecommunications facilities are among the best in sub-Saharan Africa. High-capacity radio relay connects most larger towns and cities. 71,700 telephones, stations, 11 AM, 3 FM, 9 TV, satellite Earth stations, 1 Indian Ocean Intelsat and 1 Atlantic Ocean. Intelsat, Defense Forces branches, Army, Air Force, Police, Paramilitary, Military manpower. Males 15 to 49, 1,683,758, 883,283 fit for military service defense expenditures. NA. Country, Zimbabwe. Geography, total area, 390,580 square kilometers. Land area, 386,670 square kilometers. Comparative area, slightly larger than Montana land boundaries. 3,066 kilometers total. Botswana, 813 kilometers. Mozambique, 1,231 kilometers. South Africa, 225 kilometers. Zambia, 797 kilometers coastline. None. Landlocked maritime. Claims. None. Landlocked disputes. Quadrupoint with Botswana, Namibia, and Zambia is in disagreement climate. Tropical. Moderated by altitude. Rainy season, November to March. Terrain, mostly high plateau with higher central plateau, high veld. Mountains and east natural resources. Coal, chromium or asbestos, gold, nickel, copper, iron or vanadium, lithium, tin land use. 7% arable land. NEGL% permanent crops. 12% meadows and pastures. 62% forest and woodland. 19% other. Includes NEGL%. Irrigated environment. Recurring droughts, floods, and severe storms are rare. Deforestation, soil erosion, air and water pollution. Desertification note. Landlocked, people population, 10,392,161, July 1990. Growth rate 3.3%. 1990, birth rate, 42 births per 1,000 population. 1990, death rate, 9 deaths/1,000 population. 1990, net migration rate, 0 migrants/1,000 population. 1990, infant mortality rate, 65 deaths/1,000 live births. 1990, life expectancy at birth, 59 years male, 63 years female. 1990, total fertility rate, 5.8 children born/woman. 1990, nationality. Noun, Zimbabweans. Adjective, Zimbabwean ethnic divisions. 98% African, 71% Shona, 16% Ndebele, 11% other, 1% white, 1% mixed and Asian religion, 50% syncretic, part Christian, part indigenous beliefs, 25% Christian, 24% indigenous beliefs, a few Muslim language, English official, Shona and Ndebele literacy, 74% labor force, 3,100,000, 74% agriculture, 16% transport and services, 10% mining, manufacturing. Construction, 1987, organized labor, 17% of wage and salary earners have union membership, government long-form name. Republic of Zimbabwe type. Parliamentary democracy capital. Harare administrative divisions, 8 provinces, Manicaland, Mashonaland Central, Mashonaland East, Mashonaland West, Matabeleland North, Matabeleland South, Midlands Victoria, commonly called Masvingo, Independence. April 18, 1980, from UK. Formerly Southern Rhodesia. Constitution. December 21, 1979 legal system. Mixture of Roman Dutch and English common law national. Holiday. Independence Day, April 18, 1980, Executive Branch. President, Vice President, Cabinet Legislative Branch. Unicameral Parliament Judicial Branch. Supreme Court Leaders. Chief of State and Head of Government. Executive President Robert Gabriel Mugabe, since December 31, 1987. Vice President Simon Vengai Muzenda, since December 31, 1987. Political parties and leaders. Zimbabwe African National Union Patriotic Front, ZANU-PF, Robert Mugabe. Zimbabwe African National Union Sithole, ZANU-S. Ndabaningi Sithole. Zimbabwe Unity Movement, ZUM. Edgar Tekera Suffrage. Universal at age 18 elections. President. Last held 28 to 30 March 1990. Next to be held March 1995. Results. President Robert Mugabe 78.3%. Edgar Tekera 21.7%. Parliament. Last held 28 to 30 March 1990. Next to be held March 1993. Results. Percent of vote by party NA. Seats. 150 total. 120 elected. ZANU 116. ZUM 2. ZANU-S 1. To be determined 1 communists. No Communist Party member of ACP, FDB, CCC, Commonwealth. FAOG 77. GATT. IBRD, IKO, IDA, IFAD, IFC, LOIMF, Interpol, NM, UNESCO, UPU, WFDU, who WMO Diplomatic Representation. Counselor, Political Affairs. Head of Chancery, Ambassador Stanislaus Garikai Chigwidir. Chancery at 2852. McGill Terrace Northwest, Washington, D.C. 20008. Telephone 202-332-7100. U.S. Ambassador designates Stephen Rhodes. Embassy at 172 Rhodes Avenue, Harare. Mailing address is P.O. Box 3340, Harare. Telephone 263-014, 794 to 521 flag. 7 equal. Horizontal bands of green, yellow, red, black, red, yellow, and green with a white equilateral triangle edged in black based on the hoist side. A yellow Zimbabwe bird is superimposed on a red 5-pointed star in the center of the triangle. Economy overview. Agriculture employs a majority of the labor force and supplies almost 40% of exports. The agro-based manufacturing sector produces a variety of goods and contributes about 25% to GDP. Mining accounts for only 5% of both GDP and employment, but supplies of minerals and metals account for about 40% of exports. Wide year-to-year fluctuations in agricultural production over the past 6 years resulted in not only an uneven growth rate, but one that did not equal the 3% annual increase in population. GDP, $4.6 billion, per capita, $470. Real growth rate 5.3%, 1988 EST. Inflation rate, consumer prices 7.4%, 1988. Unemployment rate, at least 20%, 1988 EST. Budget. Revenues $2.4 billion. Expenditures $3.0 billion, including capital expenditures of $290 million, FY90. Exports. $1.6 billion, FOB, 1988. Commodities. Agricultural 34%, tobacco 21%, other 13%, manufacturers 19%, gold 11%, ferrochrome 11%, cotton 6%. Partners. Europe 55%, EC 41%, Netherlands 6%, other 8%. Africa 22%, South Africa 12%, other 10%. US 6% imports. $1.1 billion, CF, 1988. Commodities, machinery and transportation equipment 37%. Other manufacturers 22%. Chemicals 16%. Fuels 15%. Partners, EC 31%. Africa 29%. South Africa 21%. Other 8%. US 8%. Japan 4%. External debt. $2.96 billion. December 1989 EST. Industrial production. Growth rate 4.7%. 1988 EST. Electricity. 2,036,000 kilowatts capacity. 5,460 million kilowatt hours produced. 540 kilowatt hours per capita. 1989. Industries. Mining, steel, clothing and footwear, chemicals, foodstuffs, fertilizer, beverage, transportation equipment, wood products, agriculture. Account for about 15% of GDP and employs over 70% of population. 40% of land area divided into 6,000 large commercial farms and 42% in communal lands. Crops, corn, food staple, cotton, tobacco, wheat, coffee, sugarcane, peanuts, livestock, cattle, sheep, goats, pigs, self-sufficient in food aid. U.S. commitments, including ex-IM, FI 80-88, $359 million. Western, non-U.S. countries, ODA and OOF bilateral commitments, 1970-87, $2.0 billion. OPEC bilateral aid, 1979-89, $36 million. Communist countries, 1970-88, $134 million currency. Zimbabwean dollar, plural, dollars. 1 Zimbabwean dollar, Z dollar, equals 100 cents exchange rates. Zimbabwean dollars, Z dollar, per 1 U.S. dollar. 2.2873, January 1990. 2.1133, 1989. 1.8018, 1988. 1.6611, 1987. 1.6650, 1986. 1.6119, 1985. Fiscal year. July 1st, 30 June. Communications railroads. 2,745 kilometers 1.067 meter gauge. 42 kilometers double track. 355 kilometers electrified highways. 85,237 kilometers total. 15,800 kilometers paved. 39,090 kilometers crushed stone, gravel, stabilized soil. 23,097 kilometers improved earth. 7,250 kilometers unimproved earth inland waterways. Lake Kariba is a potential line of communication pipelines. 8 kilometers, refined products civil air, 12 major transport aircraft airports. 506 total. 420 usable. 23 with permanent surface runways. 2 with runways. Over 3,659 m. 3 with runways 2,440 to 3,659 m. 37 with runways 1,220 to 2,439 m. Telecommunications. System was once one of the best in Africa, but now suffers from poor maintenance. Consists of radio relay links, open wire lines, and radio communication stations. 247,000 telephones. Stations. 8 AM, 18 FM, 8 TV. 1 Atlantic Ocean Intelsat Earth Station. Defense Forces branches. Zimbabwe National Army, Air Force of Zimbabwe, Police Support Unit, People's Militia military manpower. Males 15 to 49. 2,173,448. 1,342,920 fit for military service defense expenditures, for $146.7 million. FY89 EST. Country, Taiwan. Geography, total area, 35,980 square kilometers. Land area, 32,260 square kilometers. Includes the Pescadores, Matsu, and Quemoy comparative area, slightly less than 3 times the size of Connecticut land boundaries. None coastline. 1,448 kilometers maritime claims. Extended economic zone. 200 nanometers. Territorial sea. 12 nanometers disputes. Involved in complex dispute over the Spratly Islands with China, Malaysia, Philippines, and Vietnam. Paracel Islands occupied by China, but claimed by Vietnam and Taiwan. Japanese-administered Senkakushoto, Senkaku Islands, claimed by China and Taiwan. Climate, tropical, marine, rainy season during southwest monsoon, June to August. Cloudiness is persistent and extensive all year. Terrain, eastern two-thirds mostly rugged mountains. Flat to gently rolling plains in west. Natural resources, small deposits of coal, natural gas, limestone, marble, and asbestos. Land use, 24% arable land, 1% permanent crops, 5% meadows and pastures, 55% forest and woodland, 15% other, 14% irrigated environment, subject to earthquakes and typhoons. People population, 20,546,664, July 1990. Growth rate 1.1%, 1990. Birth rate, 16 births per 1,000 population, 1990. Death rate, 5 deaths/1,000 population, 1990. Net migration rate, NEGL migrants/1,000 population, 1990. Infant mortality rate, 17 deaths/1,000 live births, 1990. Life expectancy at birth, 72 years male, 77 years female, 1990. Total fertility rate, 1.7 children born/woman, 1990. Nationality, noun, Chinese. Sing, PL. Adjective, Chinese ethnic divisions, 84% Taiwanese, 14% mainland Chinese, 2% Aborigine religion, 93% mixture of Buddhist, Confucian, and Taoist, 4.5% Christian, 2.5% other language. Mandarin Chinese, official. Taiwanese and Hakka dialects also used. Literacy, 94% labor force, 7,880,000, 41% industry and commerce, 32% services, 20% agriculture, 7% civil administration. 1986, organized labor, 1,300,000, or about 18.4%, government-controlled. 1983. Administration long-form name, none type. One-party presidential regime, opposition political. Parties legalized in March. 1989 capital, Taipei. Administrative divisions, 16 counties. Xin, singular and plural. 5 municipalities *, Shi, singular and plural. 2 special municipalities ***, Chuanxi, singular and plural. Changhua, Chiai, Chiai ***, Qilong ***, Ichisinchu, Hualien, Ilon, Kaohsiung, Kaohsiung ***, Miaoli, Nintu, Penghu, Pingtung, Taichung, Taichung ***, Tainan, Tainan ***, Taipei, Taipei ***, Taitung, Taiyuan, Yunlin. Note, the Wade-Giles system is used for Romanization Constitution, December 25, 1947 legal system, based on civil law system, accepts compulsory ICJ jurisdiction, with reservations. National holiday, National Day, Anniversary of the Revolution, October 10, 1911, Executive Branch, President, Vice President, Premier of the Executive Yuan, Vice Premier of the Executive Yuan, Executive Yuan Legislative Branch, Unicameral Legislative Yuan Judicial Branch, Judicial Yuan Leaders, Chief of State, President Li Tenghui, since 13. January 1988, Vice President Li Yuan Tsu, will take office May 20, 1990. Head of Government, Premier, President of the Executive Yuan. Chao Patiesun, since May 2, 1990. Vice Premier, Vice President of the Executive Yuan. Shi Xiaoqiang, since NA July 1988. Political parties and leaders. Kuomintang, Nationalist Party. Li Tenghui, Chairman, Democratic Socialist Party and Young China Party controlled by Kuomintang. Democratic Progressive Party, DPP. Labor Party. 27 other minor party suffrage. Universal at age 20 elections. President. Last held March 21, 1990. Next to be held March 1996. Results. President Li Tenghui was elected by the National Assembly. Vice President. Last held March 21, 1990. Next to be held March 1996. Results. Li Yuan-tsu was elected by the National Assembly. Legislative Yuan. Last held December 2, 1989. Next to be held December 1992. Results. KMT 65%. DPP 33%. Independents 2%. Seats. 304 total. 102 elected. KMT 78. DPP 21. Independents 3 member of. Expelled from UN General Assembly and Security Council on October 25, 1971, and withdrew on same date from other charter-designated subsidiary organs. Expelled from IMF/World Bank Group, April/May 1980. Member of ADB and PEC, seeking to join GATT and/or MFA. Attempting to retain membership in ICAC, ISO, Intelsat, Interpol, IWC, International Wheat Council. Suspended from IAEA in 1972, but still allows IAEA controls over extensive atomic development diplomatic representation. None. Unofficial. Commercial and cultural relations with the people of the U.S. are maintained through a private instrumentality. The Coordination Council for North American Affairs, CCNA, with headquarters in Taipei and field offices in Washington and 10 other U.S. cities with all addresses and telephone numbers in U.S. Unofficial commercial and cultural relations with the people of Taiwan are maintained through a private institution, the American Institute in Taiwan, IT, which has offices in Taipei at 7 Lane 134, HSN Road, Section 3 with telephone 00288602-709-2000 and in Kaohsiung. At 88 Wu Fu 3rd Road with telephone NA flag. Red with a dark blue rectangle in the upper hoist side corner bearing a white sun with 12 triangular rays. Economy overview. Taiwan has a dynamic capitalist economy with considerable government guidance of investment and foreign trade and partial government ownership of some large banks and industrial firms. Real growth in GNP has averaged about 9% a year during the past 3 decades. Export growth has been even faster and has provided the impetus for industrialization. Agriculture contributes about 6% to GNP, down from 35% in 1952. Taiwan currently ranks as number 13 among major trading countries. Traditional labor-intensive industries are steadily being replaced with more capital and technology-intensive industries. GNP, $121.4 billion. Per capita $6,000. Real growth rate 7.2%, 1989. Inflation rate, consumer prices 5%, 1989. Unemployment rate 1.7%, 1989. Budget, revenues $25.9 billion. Expenditures $33.2 billion, including capital expenditures of $&A, FY 89. Exports $66.2 billion, FOB, 1989. Commodities, textiles 9.7%, electrical machinery 19%, general machinery and equipment 14%, telecommunications equipment 9%, basic metals and metal products 7.4%, foodstuffs 0.9%, plywood and wood products 1.3%, partners, U.S. 36.2%, Japan 13.7% imports, $52.2 billion, CF, 1989, commodities, machinery and equipment 15.9%, crude oil 5%, chemical and chemical product 11.1%, basic metals 7.4%, foodstuffs 2%, partners. Japan 31%, US 23%, Saudi Arabia 8.6% external debt. $1.0 billion. December 1989 EST. Industrial production. Growth rate 4.1%. 1988. Electricity. 17 million kilowatts capacity. 68,000 million kilowatt hours produced. 3,360 kilowatt hours per capita. 1989. Industries. Textiles, clothing, chemicals, electronics, food processing, plywood, sugar milling, cement, shipbuilding, petroleum, agriculture. Accounts for 6% of GNP and 20% of labor force. Includes part-time farmers. Heavily subsidized sector. Major crops: rice, sugarcane, sweet potatoes, fruits, vegetables. Livestock: hogs, poultry, beef, milk, cattle. Not self-sufficient in wheat, soybeans, corn. Fish catch expanding, 1.1 million metric tons in 1987 aid. U.S. including Exim, FI 46-82, for $0.6 billion. Western, non-U.S. countries. ODA and OOF bilateral commitments, 1970 to 87, for $139 million currency. New Taiwan dollar, plural, dollars. 1 New Taiwan dollar, NT dollar, equals 100 cents exchange rates. New Taiwan dollars per 1 U.S. dollar, 26.3, March 1990. 26.156, December 1989, 28.589, 1988, 31.845, 1987, 37.838, 1986, 39.849, 1985, fiscal year, July 1st, 30 June. Communications railroads. About 1,075 kilometers common carrier lines, and over 3,800 kilometers industrial lines. Common carrier lines consist of the 1.067 meter gauge 708 kilometers west line and the 367 kilometers east line. A 98.25 kilometers south link line connection is under construction. Common carrier lines owned by the government and operated by the Railway Administration under Ministry of Communications. Industrial lines owned and operated by government enterprises. Highways, 18,800 kilometers total. 15,800 kilometers bituminous or concrete, 2,500 kilometers crushed stone or gravel, 500 kilometers graded earth pipelines, 615 kilometers refined products, 97 kilometers natural gas ports. Kaohsiung, Keelung, Hualien, Suao, Taitung Merchant Marine. 218 ships, 1,000 GRT or over, totaling 5,061,960 GRT/7, 634, 074 DWT. Includes 1 short sea passenger, 61 cargo, 13 refrigerated cargo, 71 container, 14 petroleum, oils and lubricants, PUL, tanker, 3 combination or /oil, 1 specialized tanker, 54 bulk airports, 38 total, 37 usable, 32 with permanent surface. Runways, 3 with runways over 3,659 m, 16 with runways 2,440 to 3,659 m, 8 with runways 1,220 to 2,439 m. Telecommunications. Best developed system in Asia outside of Japan. 6 million telephones. Extensive microwave transmission links on east and west coasts. Stations, 91 AM, 23 FM, 15 TV, 13 relays, 8 million radio receivers, 6 million TV sets, 5,300,000 color, 700,000 monochrome. Satellite Earth stations, 1 Pacific Ocean Intelsat and 1 Indian Ocean Intelsat. Submarine cable links to Japan. Okinawa. The Philippines, Guam, Singapore, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Australia, Middle East, and Western Europe. Defense Forces branches. Army, Navy, including Marines, Air Force, Garrison Command, military manpower. Males 15 to 49, 5,809,354. For 1,534,950 fit for military service. About 185,235 currently reach military age 19. Annually defense expenditures. 6.8% of GNP, or $8.2 billion, FY90ST. Appendix A. The United Nations system, the UN, is composed of 6 principal organs and numerous subordinate agencies and bodies as follows. 1. Secretariat. UNDRO, United Nations Disaster Relief Coordinator's Office. 2. General Assembly. INSTRA, International Research and Training Institute for the Advancement of Women. UNCHS, United Nations Center for Human Settlements, Habitat. UNCTAD, United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. UNDP, United Nations Development Program. UNEP, United Nations Environment Program. UNFPA, United Nations Population Fund. UNHCR, United Nations Office of High Commissioner for Refugees. UNICEF, United Nations Children's Fund. UNIDIR, United Nations Institute for Disarmament Research. UNITAR, United Nations Institute for Training and Research. UNRISD, United Nations Research Institute for Social Development. UNRWA, United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East. UNSB, United Nations Special Fund. UNU, United Nations University Up University for Peace. WFC, World Food Council. WFP, World Food Program. 3. Security Council. UNAVOM, United Nations Angola Verification Mission. UNDOF, United Nations Disengagement Observer Force. UNFICIP, United Nations Force in Cyprus. UNGOMAP, United Nations Good Offices Mission in Afghanistan and Pakistan. UNIFIL, United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon. UNIAMOG, United Nations Iran-Iraq Military Observer Group. UNMIGIP, United Nations Military Observer Group in India and Pakistan. UNTAG, United Nations Transition Assistance Group. UNTSO, United Nations Truce Supervision Organization for Economic and Social Council. ECOSOC, Specialized Agencies. FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. IBRD, International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization. IDA, International Development Association. IFAD, International Fund for Agricultural Development. IFC, International Finance Corporation. ILO, International Labor Organization. IMF, International Monetary Fund. IMO, International Maritime Organization. ITU, International Telecommunication Union. MIGA, Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency. UNESCO, United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. UNIDO, United Nations Industrial Development Organization. UPU, Universal Postal Union. WHO, World Health Organization. WIPO, World Intellectual Property Organization. WMO, World Meteorological Organization. Related organizations. GATT, General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. IEA, International Atomic Energy Agency. Regional Commissions. ECA, Economic Commission for Africa. ECE, Economic Commission for Europe. ECLAC, Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean. ESCAP, Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific. ESCWA, Economic and Social Commission for Western Asia. Functional Commissions. Commission on Human Rights. Commission on Narcotic Drugs. Commission for Social Development. Commission on the Status of Women. Population Commission. Statistical Commission. 5. Trusteeship Council. 6. International Court of Justice. ICJ. Appendix B. International Organizations. ACC, Arab Cooperation Council. ACP, African, Caribbean, and Pacific Countries Association. With EC, ADB, Asian Development Bank. AFDB, African Development Bank. AFESD, Arab Fund for Economic and Social Development. AJOEC, Association of Iron or Exporting Countries. AL, Arab League or League of Arab States. AMF, Arab Monetary Fund. AMU, Arab Maghreb Union. Andean Pact. ANRPC, Association of Natural Rubber Producing Countries. ANZUS Council. AP, Andean Pact. APC, African Peanut, Groundnut Association. ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations. ASPAC, Asian and Pacific Council. ASEMER, International Mercury Producers Association. Association of Tin Producing Countries. Baidia, Arab Bank for Economic Development in Africa. BCI, Central American Bank for Economic Integration. Benelux, Belgium, Netherlands. Luxembourg Economic Union BS Bank for International Settlements, BLEU, Belgium Luxembourg Economic Union BOD, West African Development Bank C Commonwealth ISM, Central American Common Market CU, Council of Arab Economic Unity, CARICOM, Caribbean Community, and Common Market CCC. Customs Cooperation Council, CDB, Caribbean Development Bank, CE, Council of Europe, CAO, West African Economic Community, CAC, Economic Community of Central African States, CEMA, Council for Mutual Economic Assistance, sometimes CMEA or COMECON. CENTO, Central Treaty Organization, CPGL, Economic Community of the Great Lakes Countries, CERN, European Organization for Nuclear Research, CILSS, Permanent Interstate Committee on Drought Control in the Sahel, CIPEC, Intergovernmental Council of Copper Exporting Countries, CMEA, CEMA, COMECON, CCEMA. Conference of East and Central African States, CP Colombo Planned DAC Development Assistance Committee, OECD, EADB East African Development Bank, EMA African States associated with the EC European Communities, ECA Economic Commission for Africa, UN, ECE Economic Commission for Europe, UN, ECLA Economic Commission for Latin America, UN, ECLAC Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, UN, ECOSOC Economic and Social Council, UN, ECOWAS. Economic Community of West African States, ECWA Economic Commission for Western Asia, UN, EFTA European Free Trade Association, EIB, European Investment Bank, EMS European Monetary System, Entente Council of the Entente, ESA European Space Agency, ESCAP Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, UN. ESCWA Economic and Social Commission for Western Asia, UN, FAO Food and Agriculture Organization, UN, FZ Frank Zone G, 8 Group of 8G, 10 Group of 10G, 77 Group of 77GA General Assembly, UN, GATT General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, UN, GCC Gulf Cooperation Council, IDB, Inter-American Development Bank, IEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, UN, ITP International Association of Tungsten Producers, IBA International Bauxite Association, IBC International Bank for Economic Cooperation, IBRD International Bank for Reconstruction and Development or World Bank, UN, ICAC International Cotton Advisory Committee, ICAO International Civil Aviation Organization, UN, ICC International. Chamber of Commerce, ICCO International Cocoa Organization, ICM Intergovernmental Committee for European Migration, ICES International Cooperation in Ocean Exploration, ICFDU International Confederation of Free Trade Unions, ICJ International Court of Justice, UN, ICM Intergovernmental Committee for Migration, ICO International Coffee Organization, ICRC International Committee of the Red Cross, IDA International Development Association, IBRD Affiliate, UN, IDB Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, Islamic Development Bank, IA International Energy Agency, associated with OECD, IFAD International Fund for Agricultural Development, UN, IFC International Finance Corporation, IBRD Affiliate, UN, IHO International Hydrographic Organization, IIB International Investment Bank, ILO International Labor Organization, UN, ILZSG International Lead and Zinc Study Group, IMF International Monetary Fund, UN, IMO International Maritime Organization, UN, Inmarsat International Maritime Satellite Organization, INRO International Natural Rubber Organization, Intelsat International Telecommunications Satellite Organization, Interpol, International Criminal Police Organization, IOC International Olympic Committee, IOC International Olive Oil Council, IPU Interparliamentary Union, IRC International Rice Council, ASO International Sugar Organization, ITC International Tin Council, ITU International Telecommunication Union, UN, IWC International Whaling Commission, IWC International Wheat Council, LAS Latin American Economic System, LAI Latin American Integration Association, Lake Chad Basin Commission, LORCS League of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, Mano River Commission, Mekong Committee, MEGA, Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, NEM Non-Aligned Movement, NATO North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NC Nordic Council, NCC Nordic Council of Ministers, NEA Nuclear Energy Agency, OECD, NIB Nordic Investment Bank, Niger River Commission, Nordic Council, OPEC Organization of Arab Petroleum Exporting Countries, OAS Organization of American States, OAU Organization of African Unity, OCAM, Afro-Malagasy, and Mauritian. Common Organization, ODECA Organization of Central American States, OECD Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECS Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OIC Organization of the Islamic Conference, OMVS Organization for the Development of the Senegal River Valley, OPANAL Agency for the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons in Latin America, and the Caribbean, OPEC Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, PAHO Pan American Health Organization, PCA, Permanent Court of Arbitration, SARC. South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, SCTC, Southern African Development Coordination Conference, SC Security Council, UN, SILA Latin American Economic System, SPC South Pacific Commission, SPEC South Pacific Bureau for Economic Cooperation, SPF South Pacific Forum, TC Trusteeship Council, UN, TB Trade and Development Board, UN, UDAC Central African Customs and Economic Union, UEAC Union of Central African States, UN United Nations, UNCTAD, UN Conference on Trade and Development, UNDP, UN. Development Program, UNESCO, UN Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNHCR, UN High Commissioner for Refugees, UNICEF, UN Children's Fund, UNIDO, UN Industrial Development Organization, UPB Union of Banana Exporting Countries, UPU Universal Postal Union, UN. WCL World Confederation of Labor, WU Western European Union, WFC World Food Council, UN. WFDU World Federation of Trade Unions, WHO World Health Organization, UN, WIPO World Intellectual Property Organization, UN, WMO World Meteorological Organization, UN, WP Warsaw Pact, WPC World Peace Council, WSG International Wool Study Group, WTO World Tourism Organization. Appendix C. Country membership in international organizations. This information is currently available only as a table in the printed version of the World Factbook 1990. For the 1991 edition, a new textual format will be adopted that will greatly expand the breadth and depth of coverage to include many more organizations with complete name, acronym or abbreviation, date established, aim, and list of members. Appendix D. Weights and measures, mathematical notation, mathematical power name, 10 plus 18, or 1 quintillion 10 plus 15, or 1 quadrillion 10 plus 12, or 1 trillion 10 plus 9, or 1 billion 10 plus 6, or 1 million 10 plus 3, or 1,000 10 plus 2, or 100 10 plus 1, or 10 plus 0, or 1 10 minus 1, or 0.11, 10 minus 2, or 0.01, 110 minus 3, or 0.0011, 1010 minus 6, or 0.00000, 1 millionth 10 minus 9, or 0.0000000, 1 billionth 10 minus 12, or 0.00000000001, 1 trillionth 10 minus 15, or 0.0000000000011. Quadrillionth 10 minus 18, or 0.0000000000000. 1 quintillion conversions from a multiple or submultiple to the basic units of meters, liters, or grams can be done using the table. For example, to convert from kilometers to meters, multiply by 1,000, 9.26 kilometers equals 9,260 meters. Or, to convert from meters to kilometers, multiply by 0.001. 9,260 meters equals 9.26 kilometers. Length, weight, prefix, symbol, capacity, area, volume. Exa E10 plus 1810 plus 3610 plus 54 peta, P10 plus 1510 plus 3010 plus 45 tera, T10 plus 1210 plus 2410 plus 36 giga, G10 plus 9, 10 plus 1810 plus 27 mega, M10 plus 610 plus 1210 plus 18 hectokilo HK, 10 plus 510 plus 1010 plus 15 myria, Ma, 10 plus 410 plus 810 plus 12. Kilo K10 plus 310 plus 610 plus 9 hecto, H10 plus 210 plus 410 plus 6 deca, de 10 plus 110 plus 210 plus 3 basic unit. 1 meter, 1 meter, 2 1 meter, 3 1 gram. 1 liter deci D, 10 minus 1, 10 minus 2, 10 minus 3, centi C 10 minus 2, 10 minus 4, 10 minus 6 millim, 10 minus 3, 10 minus 6, 10 minus 9, decimilli dm, 10 minus 4, 10 minus 8, 10 minus 12, centimilli cm, 10 minus 5, 10 minus 10, 10 minus 15 micro u, 10 minus 6, 10 minus 12, 10 minus 18 nano, and 10 minus 9, 10 minus 18, 10. Minus 27 pico, P 10 minus 12, 10 minus 24, 10 minus 36 femto, F 10 minus 15, 10 minus 30, 10 minus 45 atto, a 10 minus 18, 10 minus 36, 10 minus 54 equals 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 equivalents. The exponents 2 and 3 are used for square and cubic, respectively. Name metric equivalents. Acre 0.40 for 685.64 hectares, 43,560 feet. 2 acre, 4,046,856 4 meters, 4,840 yards. 2 acre 0.00, 4046, 856, 40.001, 562 5 miles. 2 kilometers. 2 statute are 100 meters, 119.599 yards. 2 barrel. Petroleum, U.S. 158.98729 liters, 42 gallons. Proof spirits, U.S. 151.41647 liters, 40 gallons. Beer, U.S. 117.34777 liters, 31 gallons. Bushel, 35.23907 liters, 4 pecks. Cable, 219.456 meters, 120 fathoms. Chain, surveyors. 20.1168 meters, 66 feet. Cord. Wood, 3.624, 556 meters, 128 feet. 3 cup, 0.236, 588 2 liters, 8 ounces. Liquid, U.S. Degrees, Celsius. Water boils at 100, multiply by 1.8 and add degrees C. Freezes at 32 to obtain degrees F. 0 degrees Celsius. Degrees Fahrenheit. Subtract 32 and divide. Water boils at 212 by 1.8 to obtain degrees F. Freezes at degrees C. 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Dram. Avoirdupois 1.77, 1,845 2 grams, 0.0625 ounces. Avoirdupois dram. Troy 3.887 934 6 grams, 0.125 ounces. Troy dram. Liquid, U.S. 3.69669 milliliters, 0.125 ounces. Liquid fathom 1.8288 meters, 6 feet. Foot 30.48 centimeters, 12 inches. Foot 0.3048 meters, 0.333, 333 3 yards. Foot 0.000, 348 kilometers, 0.000, 189.39 miles. Statute foot 2929.030, 4 centimeters, 144 inches, 2 foot 20.09, 2930, 4 meters, 20.1, 111 1 yards, 2 foot, 328.316, 846, 592 liters, 7.480, 519 gallons, foot, 30.028. 316, 847 meters, 1,728 inches, 3 furlong, 201.168 meters, 220 yards gallon. Liquid, U.S. 3.785, 411, 784 liters, 4 quarts. Liquid gill, U.S. 118.294, 118 milliliters, 4 ounces. Liquid grain, 64.79, 91 milligrams, 0.002, 285.71 ounces, ADV. Gram, 1,000 milligrams, 0.035, 273.96 ounces, ADV. Hand, height of horse, 10.16 centimeters, 4 inches, hectare, 10,000 meters, 22.4710, 53, 8 acres, hundredweight. Long, 50.80, 345 kilograms, 112 pounds. Avoirdupois, hundredweight. Short, 45.359, 237 kilograms, 100 pounds. Avoirdupois, inch, 2.54 centimeters, 0.08, 333 feet. Inch, 26.4, 516 centimeters, 0.006, 944 feet. 2 inch, 316.3, 870 centimeters, 30.000, 578, 7 feet, 3 inch, 316.3, 870 4 milliliters, 0.029, 761 6 pints. Dry, inch, 316.38, 7064 milliliters, 0.034, 632 0 pints. Liquid kilogram, 0.001 tons. Metric, 2.204. 623 pounds. Avoirdupois kilometer, 1,000 meters, 0.6. 371.19 miles. Statute kilometer, 100 hectares, 247.10, 538 acres kilometer, 1 million meters, 0.386, 102.16 miles. 2. Statute knot. 1 nautical mi/hr. 1.85, 2 kilometers/hour, 1.151 statute miles/hour league. Nautical 5.559, 552 kilometers, 3 miles. Nautical league. Statute 4.82, 8.0, 32 kilometers, 3 miles. Statute link. Surveyors. 20.1168 centimeters, 7.92 inches, liter, 0.001 meters, 361.02, 374 inches, 3 liters, 0.1 deciliter, 0.9080, 83 quarts. Dry, liter, 1,000. Milliliters, 1.056, 688 quarts. Liquid meter, 100 centimeters, 1.09, 613 yards, meter, 10,000 centimeters, 1.19, 990 yards, 2 meter, 1,000 liters, 1.30, 951 yards, 3 micron, 0.00000, 1 meter, 0.0000, 39, 4 inches, mil, 0.0254. Millimeters, 0.001 inch, mile. Nautical 1.8, 2 kilometers, 1.150, 779 4 miles. Statute mile. 2. Nautical 3.4, 904 kilometers, 1.325 miles. 2. Statute mile. Statute 1.609, 344 kilometers, 5,280 feet. Or 8 furlongs, mile. 2. Statute 258.998, 811 hectares, 640 acres, or 1 section, mile. 2. Statute 2.58, 988, 11 kilometers, 0.755 miles. 2. Nautical minimum. U.S. 0.061, 611.52 milliliters, 0.0020, 83.33 ounces. Liquid ounce, avoirdupois, 28.349, 523, 125 grams, 437.5 grains ounce. Liquid, U.S., 29.57, 353 milliliters, 0.0625 pints. Liquid ounce. Troy 31.103, 476, 8 grams, 480 grains. Pace 76.2 centimeters, 30 inches. Peck 8.809, 767, 5 liters, 8 quarts. Dry penny weight 1.555, 173, 84 grams, 24 grains. Pint. Dry. U.S. 0.550, 610.47. Liters 0.5 quarts, dry pint. Liquid, U.S. 0.473, 176, 473 liters 0.5 quarts. Liquid point, typographical. 0.351, 459, 8 millimeters 0.01, 3, 837 inches pound. Avoirdupois 453.59, 237 grams 16 ounces. Avoirdupois pound. Troy 373.24, 1, 721 6 grams 12 ounces. Troy quart. Dry, U.S. 1.101, 221 liters 2 pints. Dry quart. Liquid, U.S. 0.946, 352, 946 liters 2 pints. Liquid quintal, 100 kilograms, 220.46, 26 pounds. AVDP rod, 5.0, 292 meters, 5.5 yards. Scruple, 1.29, 5,978, 2 grams, 20 grain section. U.S. 2.5, 988 1. Kilometers 1 mile 2. Statute or 640 acres, span 22.86 centimeters, 9 inches. Steer 1 meter, 1.30, 795 yards, 3 tablespoon, 14.786, 76 milliliters, 3 teaspoons. Teaspoon, 4.9, 922 milliliters, 0.333, 333 tablespoons. Ton. Long or dead weight 1,016.046, 909 kilograms, 2,240 pounds. Avoirdupois ton. Metric 1,000 kilograms, 2,204.623 pounds. Avoirdupois ton. Register 2.8, 3,684 7 meters, 3,100 feet, 3 ton. Short 907.18, 474 kilograms, 2,000 pounds. Avoirdupois Township. U.S. 93.239, 572 kilometers, 236 miles. 2. Statute yard. 0.9144 meters, 3 feet. Yard 20.836, 127.36 meters, 29 feet. 2 yard 30.764, 554.86 meters, 327 feet. 3 yard 3,760, 4.554, 857, 984 liters, 201.974 gallons. Appendix E. Cross-reference list of geographic names. This list indicates where various names, including all United States Foreign Service posts, alternate names, former names, and political or geographical portions of larger entities can be found in the World Factbook, are not necessarily those approved by the United States Board on Geographic Names, BGN. Alternate names are included in parentheses. Additional information is included in brackets. Name entry in the World Factbook. Abidjan, U.S. Embassy. Ivory Coast, Abu Dhabi, U.S. Embassy. United Arab Emirates, Acapulco, U.S. Consular Agency. Mexico, Accra, U.S. Embassy. Ghana, Adana, U.S. Consulate. Turkey, Addis Ababa, U.S. Embassy. Ethiopia, Adelaide, U.S. Consular Agency. Australia, Adelaide Land, Terra, Adelaide. Antarctica, claimed by France. Aden, U.S. Post not maintained. Yemen, People's Democratic Republic of Representation by British. Embassy, Aden, Gulf of Indian Ocean, Admiralty Islands, Papua New Guinea, Adriatic Sea, Atlantic Ocean, Aegean Islands, Greece, Aegean Sea, Atlantic Ocean of Fars, and Isis, French Djibouti territory of the FDI. Agalega Islands, Mauritius, Åland Islands, Finland, Alaska, United States, Alaska. Gulf of Pacific Ocean, Aldabra Island, Seychelles, Alderney, Guernsey, Aleutian Islands, United States, Alexander Island, Antarctica, Alexandria. U.S. Consulate General. Egypt, Algiers, U.S. Embassy. Algeria, Alhucemas, Peninda. Spain Alphonse Island Seychelles Amami Strait Pacific Ocean Amandivi Islands India Amarant Isles Seychelles Oman U.S. Embassy Jordan Amsterdam U.S. Consulate General Netherlands Amsterdam Island French Southern and Antarctic Lands Al Amsterdam Amundsen Sea Pacific Ocean Amur China Soviet Union Andaman Islands India Andaman Sea Indian Ocean Onagata Passage Atlantic Ocean Anglo-Egyptian Sudan Anjouan Comoros Ankara U.S. Embassy Turkey Annobon Equatorial Guinea and Antananarivo U.S. Embassy Madagascar Antipodes Islands New Zealand Antwerp U.S. Consulate General Belgium Azu Strip claimed by Libya Chad Aqaba Gulf of Indian Ocean Arabian Sea Indian Ocean Arafura Sea Pacific Ocean Argun China Soviet Union Ascension Island St. Helena Assumption Island Seychelles Asuncion U.S. Embassy Paraguay Asuncion Island Northern Mariana Islands Atacama Chile Athens U.S. Embassy Greece Attu United States Auckland U.S. Consulate General New Zealand Auckland Islands New Zealand Australes Isles Tubui French Polynesia, Axel Heiberg Island, Canada, Azores, Portugal, Azov, Sea of Atlantic Ocean, Bab, El Mandeb, Indian Ocean, Babian Channel, Pacific Ocean, Babian Islands, Philippines, Baffin Bay, Arctic Ocean, Baffin Island, Canada, Baghdad, U.S. Embassy, Iraq, Balabac, Strait, Pacific Ocean, Balearic Islands, Spain, Balearic Sea, Iberian Sea, Atlantic Ocean, Bali, U.S. Consular Agency. Indonesia Bali Sea Indian Ocean Balintang Channel Pacific Ocean Balintang Islands Philippines Balani Islands Antarctica Baltic Sea Atlantic Ocean Baluchistan Afghanistan Iran Pakistan Bamako U.S. Embassy Mali Banaba Ocean Island Kiribati Bandar Seri Begawan U.S. Embassy Brunei Banda Sea Pacific Ocean Bangkok U.S. Embassy Thailand Bongi U.S. Embassy Central African Republic Banjul U.S. Embassy, the Gambia Banks Island Canada Banks Islands, Als Banks, Vanuatu Barcelona, U.S. Consulate General, Spain Barents Sea Arctic Ocean Barranca, U.S. Consulate, Colombia Bashi Channel Pacific Ocean Basilan Strait Pacific Ocean Base Strait Indian Ocean Baden Islands Philippines Bavaria, Bayern Germany, Federal Republic of Beagle Channel Atlantic Ocean Bear Island, Jernoya, Svalbard Beaufort Sea Arctic Ocean Bechuanaland Botswana Beijing, U.S. Embassy, China. Beirut, U.S. Embassy. Lebanon Belém, U.S. Consular Agency. Brazil Balep Islands. Als Balep. New Caledonia Belfast, U.S. Consulate General. United Kingdom Belgian Congo Zaire Belgrade, U.S. Embassy. Yugoslavia Belize City, U.S. Embassy. Belize Belle Isle, Strait of Atlantic Ocean Bellinghausen Sea Pacific Ocean Belmopan Belize Bengal. Bay of Indian Ocean Bering Sea Pacific Ocean Bering Strait Pacific Ocean Berkner Island Antarctica Berlin East U.S. Embassy German Democratic Republic Berlin West U.S. Mission Germany Federal Republic of Bern U.S. Embassy Switzerland Bessarabia Romania Soviet Union Bajagos Archipelago dos Guinea-Bissau Bikini Atoll Marshall Islands Bilbao U.S. Consulate Spain Bioko Equatorial Guinea Biscay Bay of Atlantic Ocean Bishop Rock United Kingdom Bismarck Archipelago Papua New Guinea Bismarck Sea Pacific Ocean Bissau U.S. Embassy Guinea-Bissau Jernoya Bear Island Svalbard Black Rock Falkland Islands Islas Malvinas Black Sea Atlantic Ocean Boa Vista Cape Verde Bogota U.S. Embassy Colombia Bombay U.S. Consulate General India Bonaire Netherlands Antilles Bonifacio Strait of Atlantic Ocean Bonin Islands Japan Bonn U.S. Embassy Federal Republic of Germany Bophuthatswana South Africa Bora Bora French Polynesia Bordeaux U.S. Consulate General France Borneo Brunei Indonesia Malaysia Bornholm Denmark Bosporus Atlantic Ocean Bothnia Gulf of Atlantic Ocean Bougainville Island Papua New Guinea Bougainville Strait Pacific Ocean Bounty Islands New Zealand Brasilia U.S. Embassy Brazil Brazzaville U.S. Embassy Congo Bridgetown U.S. Embassy Barbados Brisbane U.S. Consulate Australia British East Africa Kenya British Ghana British Honduras Belize British Solomon Islands British Somaliland Somalia Brussels U.S. Embassy U.S. Mission Belgium to European Communities U.S. Mission to the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or USNATO. Bucharest, U.S. Embassy. Romania, Budapest, U.S. Embassy. Hungary, Buenos Aires, U.S. Embassy. Argentina, Bujumbura, U.S. Embassy. Burundi, Cabinda, Angola, Cabot, Straight Atlantic Ocean, Caicos Islands, Turks, and Caicos Islands, Cairo, U.S. Embassy. Egypt, Calcutta, U.S. Consulate General. India, Calgary, U.S. Consulate General. Canada, California, Gulf of Pacific Ocean, Campbell Island, New Zealand Canal Zone, Panama, Canary Islands, Spain, Canberra, U.S. Embassy. Australia, Cancun, U.S. Consular Agency. Mexico, Canton, Guangzhou. China, Canton Island, Kiribati, Cape Town, U.S. Consulate General. South Africa, Caracas, U.S. Embassy. Venezuela, Cargados, Correjos, Shoals, Mauritius, Caroline Islands, Micronesia. Federated States of Pacific Islands, Trust. Territory of the Caribbean Sea, Atlantic Ocean, Carpentaria. Gulf of Pacific Ocean, Casablanca, U.S. Consulate General. Morocco, Cato Island, Australia, Cebu, U.S. Consulate. Philippines, Celebes, Indonesia, Celebes, Sea, Pacific Ocean, Celtic Sea, Atlantic Ocean, Central African Empire, Central African Republic, Suda, Spain, Ceylon, Sri Lanka, Chafarinas, Islas Spain, Chagos Archipelago, Oil Islands, British Indian Ocean Territory, Channel Islands, Guernsey, Jersey, Chatham Islands, New Zealand, Jeju, Korea, South Jeju Strait, Pacific Ocean, Chengdu, U.S. Consulate General. China, Chesterfield Islands, New Caledonia, als Chesterfield, Chiang Mai, U.S. Consulate General. Thailand, Chile, Gulf of Bohai, Pacific Ocean, China, People's Republic of China, China, Republic of Taiwan, Schwazel, Solomon Islands, Christchurch, U.S. Consular Agency. New Zealand, Christmas Island, Indian Ocean, Australia, Christmas Island, Pacific Ocean, Kiribati, Kiritimati, Chukchi Sea, Arctic Ocean, Siskay, South Africa, Ciudad Juarez, U.S. Consulate. Mexico General, Cochabamba, U.S. Consular Agency. Bolivia, Coco, Isla del Costa Rica, Cocos Islands, Cocos, Keeling Islands, Colombo, U.S. Embassy. Sri Lanka, Colon, U.S. Consular Agency. Panama, Colon, Archipelago de Ecuador, Galapagos Islands, Commander Islands, Soviet Union, Komandorsky Ostrova, Conakry, U.S. Embassy. Guinea, Congo, Brazzaville, Congo, Kinshasa, Zaire, Congo, Leopoldville, Zaire, Con Sun Islands, Vietnam, Cook Strait, Pacific Ocean, Copenhagen, U.S. Embassy. Denmark, Coral Sea, Pacific Ocean, Corn Islands, Islas del Mays, Nicaragua, Corsica, France, Cosmolito Group, Seychelles, Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, Cotonou, U.S. Embassy. Benin, Crete, Greece, Crooked Island Passage, Atlantic Ocean, Crozet Islands, als Crozet, French Southern and Antarctic Lands, Curacao, U.S. Consulate General. Netherlands, Antilles, Cusco, U.S. Consular Agency. Peru, Dahomey, Benin, Dado Islands, Japan, Dakar, U.S. Embassy. Senegal, Daman, Damau, India, Damascus, U.S. Embassy. Syria, Danger Atoll, Cook Islands, Danish Straits. Atlantic Ocean, Danzig, Gdansk. Poland, Dao Bok Long by Vietnam, Dardanelles, Atlantic Ocean, Dar es Salaam, U.S. Embassy. Tanzania, Davis Strait, Atlantic Ocean, Deception Island, Antarctica, Denmark, Strait Atlantic Ocean, D'Entrecasteaux Islands, Papua New Guinea, Devon Island, Canada, Duran, U.S. Consulate General. Saudi Arabia, Dhaka, U.S. Embassy. Bangladesh, Diego Garcia, British Indian Ocean Territory, Diego Ramirez, Chile, Diomede Islands, Soviet Union, Big Diomede. United States, Little Diomede, Dio, India. Djibouti, U.S. Embassy. Djibouti, Dodecanese, Greece, Doha, U.S. Embassy. Qatar, Dala, U.S. Consulate General. Cameroon, Dover, Strait of Atlantic Ocean, Drake Passage, Atlantic Ocean, Dubai, U.S. Consulate General. United Arab Emirates, Dublin, U.S. Embassy. Ireland, Durango, U.S. Consular Agency. Mexico, Durban, U.S. Consulate General. South Africa, Dusseldorf, U.S. Consulate General. Federal Republic of Germany, Dutch East Indies, Indonesia, Dutch Guiana, Suriname, East China Sea, Pacific Ocean, Easter Island, Islada, Pascua, Chile, Eastern Channel, East Korea, Pacific Ocean Strait, or Tsushima Strait, East Germany, German Democratic Republic, East Korea Strait, Eastern Pacific Ocean Channel, or Tsushima Strait, East Pakistan, Bangladesh, East Siberian Sea, Arctic Ocean, East Timor, Portuguese Timor, Indonesia, Edinburgh, U.S. Consulate General. United Kingdom, Elba, Italy, LF, Ringnes Island, Canada, Ellesmere Island, Canada, Ellis Islands, Tuvalu, Alobi, Islas de Equatorial Guinea, Canterbury Island, Kiribati, Inuitak Atoll. Inuitak Atoll, Marshall Islands, England, United Kingdom, English Channel, Atlantic Ocean, Inuitak Atoll, Marshall Islands, Epirus, Northern Albania, Greece, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Essequibo, claimed by Venezuela, Guyana, Estonia, Soviet Union, de facto, Edirofus, Soviet Union, de facto, Farquhar Group, Seychelles, Fernando de Noronha, Brazil, Fernando, Bioko, Equatorial Guinea, Finland, Gulf of Atlantic Ocean, Florence, U.S. Consulate General, Italy, Florida, Straits of Atlantic Ocean, Formosa, Taiwan, Formosa Strait, Taiwan Strait, Pacific Ocean, Fort-de-France, Martinique, U.S. Consulate General, Frankfurt am Main, Federal Republic of Germany, U.S. Consulate General, Franz Joseph Land, Soviet Union, Freetown, U.S. Embassy, Sierra Leone, French Cameroon, Cameroon French, Indochina, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam French, Guinea, Guinea French, Sudan, Mali French territory of the Afars, Djibouti, and ISIS, FTAI, French Togo, Togo, Friendly Islands, Tonga, Fukuoka, U.S. Consulate, Japan, Funchal, U.S. Consular Agency, Portugal, Fundy, Bay of Atlantic Ocean, Futuna Islands, Horn Islands, Wallis, and Futuna Gaborone, U.S. Embassy, Botswana, Galapagos Islands, Archipelago, Ecuador de Colón, Galleons Passage, Atlantic Ocean, Gambier Islands, Als Gambier, French Polynesia, Gasper Strait, Indian Ocean, Geneva, Branch Office of the U.S. Switzerland Embassy, U.S. Mission to European Office of the UN and other international organizations, Genoa, U.S. Consulate General, Italy, Georgetown, U.S. Consular Agency, Cayman Islands, Georgetown, U.S. Embassy, Guyana, Gibraltar, Strait of Atlantic Ocean, Gilbert Islands, Kiribati, Goa, India, Gold Coast, Ghana, Golan Heights, Syria, Good Hope, Cape of South Africa, Göteborg, U.S. Consulate General, Sweden, Gotland, Sweden, Gough Islands, St. Helena, Grand Banks, Atlantic Ocean, Grand Cayman, Cayman Islands, Grand Turk, U.S. Consular Agency, Turks and Caicos Islands, Great Australian Bight, Indian Ocean, Great Belt, Storbelt, Atlantic Ocean, Great Britain, United Kingdom, Great Channel, Indian Ocean, Greater Sunda Islands, Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, Green Islands, Papua New Guinea, Greenland Sea, Arctic Ocean, Grenadines, Northern St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Southern Grenada, Guadalajara, Mexico, U.S. Consulate General, Guadalcanal, Solomon Islands, Guadalupe, Isla de Mexico, Guangzhou, U.S. Consulate General, China, Guantanamo, U.S. Naval Base, Cuba, Guatemala, U.S. Embassy, Guatemala, Gubal, Strait of Indian Ocean, Guinea, Gulf of Atlantic Ocean, Guayaquil, U.S. Consulate General, Ecuador, Hapai Group, Tonga, Habamai Islands, Soviet Union, de facto, Hague, the U.S. Embassy, Netherlands, Haifa, U.S. Consular Agency, Israel, Hainan, Dow, China, Halifax, U.S. Consulate General, Canada, Halmahera, Indonesia, Hamburg, U.S. Consulate General, Federal Republic of Germany, Hamilton, U.S. Consulate General, Bermuda, Hanoi, Vietnam, Harare, U.S. Embassy, Zimbabwe, Haiti, Turkey, Havana, U.S. Post not maintained, Cuba representation by U.S. intersection or usant of the Swiss Embassy. Hawaii, United States, Heard Island, and McDonald Islands, Helsinki, U.S. Embassy. Finland, Hermosillo, U.S. Consulate. Mexico, Hispaniola, Dominican Republic. Haiti, Hokkaido, Japan, Holy See. The Vatican City, Hong Kong, U.S. Consulate General. Hong Kong, Honiara, U.S. Consulate. Solomon Islands, Honshu, Japan, Hormuz. Strait of Indian Ocean, Horn. Cape, Cabo de Hornos. Chile, Horn. Alsdo, Wallis, and Futuna, Horn of Africa, Ethiopia. Somalia, Hudson Bay, Arctic Ocean, Hudson Strait, Arctic Ocean, Inaccessible Island, St. Helena, Indochina, Cambodia. Laos, Vietnam, Inner Mongolia. Nei, Mongol. China, Ionian Islands, Greece, Ionian Sea, Atlantic Ocean, Irian Jaya. Indonesia, Irish Sea, Atlantic Ocean, Islamabad. U.S. Embassy. Pakistan, Islas Malvinas, Falkland Islands. Islas Malvinas. Istanbul, U.S. Consulate General. Turkey, Italian, Somaliland, Somalia, Iwo Jima, Japan, Izmir, U.S. Consulate General. Turkey, Jakarta, U.S. Embassy. Indonesia, Japan, Sea of Pacific Ocean, Java, Indonesia, Java, Sea, Indian Ocean, Jeddah, U.S. Consulate General, Saudi Arabia, Jerusalem, U.S. Consulate General, Israel, West Bank, Johannesburg, South Africa, U.S. Consulate General, Juan de Fuca, Strait of Pacific Ocean, Juan Fernandez, Isla de Chile, Juventud, Isla de la, Cuba, Olive Youth, Kabul, U.S. Embassy now closed, Afghanistan, Kaduna, U.S. Consulate General, Nigeria, Kalimantan, Indonesia, Kamchatka Peninsula, Soviet Union, Polyostrov, Kamchatka, Kampala, U.S. Embassy, Uganda, Kampuchea, Cambodia, Karachi, U.S. Consulate General, Pakistan, Karachi, Arctic Ocean, Karimata Strait, Indian Ocean, Kathmandu, U.S. Embassy, Nepal, Kattegat, Atlantic Ocean, Kauai Channel, Pacific Ocean, Keeling Islands, Cocos, Keeling Islands, Kerguelen, als French Southern End, Antarctic lands, Kermadec Islands, New Zealand, Khabarovsk, Soviet Union, Khartoum, U.S. Embassy, Sudan, Khmer Republic, Cambodia, Kiel Canal, Nord-Ossie Canal, Atlantic Ocean, Korea, Muria Islands, Oman, Kiria Muria Islands, Khyber Pass, Pakistan, Kigali, U.S. Embassy, Rwanda, Kingston, U.S. Embassy, Jamaica, Kinshasa, U.S. Embassy, Zaire, Kirimati, Christmas Island, Kiribati, Kithara Strait, Atlantic Ocean, Kodiak Island, United States, Kola Peninsula, Soviet Union, Kolsky Polyostrov, Colonia, U.S. Special Office, Micronesia, Federated States of Korea, Bay Pacific Ocean, Korea, Democratic People's Korea, North Republic of Korea, Republic of Korea, South Korea Strait, Pacific Ocean, Koror, U.S. Special Office, Pacific Islands, Trust Territory of Kosovo, Yugoslavia, Kowloon, Hong Kong, Krakow, U.S. Consulate, Poland, Kuala Lumpur, U.S. Embassy, Malaysia, Kunashir, Soviet Union, de facto, Kuril Islands, Soviet Union, de facto, Kuwait, U.S. Embassy, Kuwait, Kwajalein Atoll, Marshall Islands, Kyushu, Japan, Labrador, Canada, Laccadive Islands, India, Laccadive, Sea, Indian Ocean, La Coruña, U.S. Consular Agency, Spain, Lagos, U.S. Embassy, Nigeria, Lahore, U.S. Consulate General, Pakistan, Lakshadweep, India, La Paz, U.S. Embassy, Bolivia, La Parao Strait, Pacific Ocean, Laptev Sea, Arctic Ocean, Las Palmas, U.S. Consular Agency, Spain, Latvia, Soviet Union, de facto, Lao Group, Fiji, Leningrad, U.S. Consulate General, Soviet Union, Lesser Sunda Islands, Indonesia, Leyte, Philippines, Lioncourt Rocks, claimed by Japan, Korea, South Libreville, U.S. Embassy, Gabon, Ligurian Sea, Atlantic Ocean, Lilongwe, U.S. Embassy, Malawi, Lima, U.S. Embassy, Peru, Lincoln Sea, Arctic Ocean Line Islands, Kiribati, Palmyra Atoll, Lisbon, U.S. Embassy, Portugal, Lithuania, Soviet Union, de facto, Lombok Strait, Indian Ocean, Lomé, U.S. Embassy, Togo, London, U.S. Embassy, United Kingdom, Lord Howe Island, Australia, Louisiade Archipelago, Papua New Guinea, Loyalty Islands, New Caledonia, als Loyuta, Lubumbashi, U.S. Consulate General, Zaire, Lusaka, U.S. Embassy, Zambia, Luxembourg, U.S. Embassy, Luxembourg, Luzon, Philippines, Luzon Strait, Pacific Ocean, Lion, U.S. Consulate General, France, Macau, Macau, Macedonia, Bulgaria, Greece, Yugoslavia, Macquarie Island, Australia, Madeira Islands, Portugal, Madras, U.S. Consulate General, India, Madrid, U.S. Embassy, Spain, Magellan, Strait of Atlantic Ocean, Maha Island, Seychelles, Mays, Islas del Corn Islands, Nicaragua, Mallorca, Spain, Majuro, U.S. Special Office, Marshall Islands, Makassar Strait, Pacific Ocean, Malabo, U.S. Embassy, Equatorial Guinea, Malacca, Strait of Indian Ocean, Malaga, U.S. Consular Agency, Spain, Malagasy Republic, Madagascar Mail, U.S. Post not maintained, Maldives representation from Colombo, Sri Lanka, Majorca, Spain, Malpelo, Isla de Colombia, Malta Channel, Atlantic Ocean, Malvinas, Islas Falkland Islands, Islas Malvinas, Managua, U.S. Embassy, Nicaragua, Manama, U.S. Embassy, Bahrain, Manaus, U.S. Consular Agency, Brazil, Manchukuo, China, Manchuria, China, Manila, U.S. Embassy, Philippines, Manipa Strait, Pacific Ocean, Manor, Gulf of Indian Ocean, Manua Islands, American Samoa, Maputo, U.S. Embassy, Mozambique, Maracaibo, U.S. Consulate, Venezuela, Marcos Island, Minami Tarashima, Japan Mariana Islands Guam, Northern Mariana Islands Marian Islands South Africa Marmara, Sea of Atlantic Ocean Marquesas Islands French Polynesia, Îles Marquises, Marseille, U.S. Consulate General, France Martin Vaz, Ilhas Brazil Mas a Tierra Chile, Robinson Crusoe Island, Mascarene Islands Mauritius, Reunion Maseru, U.S. Embassy, Lesotho Matamoros, U.S. Consulate, Mexico Mazatlan, U.S. Consulate, Mexico Mbabane, U.S. Embassy, Swaziland McDonald Islands Heard Island and McDonald Islands Medan, U.S. Consulate, Indonesia Mediterranean Sea Atlantic Ocean Melbourne, U.S. Consulate General, Australia Melilla Spain Merida, U.S. Consulate, Mexico Messina, Strait of Atlantic Ocean Mexico, U.S. Embassy, Mexico, Gulf of Atlantic Ocean Milan, U.S. Consulate General, Italy Minami Tarashima, Japan, Mindanao, Philippines, Mindoro Strait Pacific Ocean, Minicoy Island, India Mogadishu, U.S. Embassy, Somalia Mombasa, U.S. Consulate, Kinyamona Passage Atlantic Ocean Monrovia, U.S. Embassy, Liberia Montego Bay, U.S. Consular Agency, Jamaica Monterey, U.S. Consulate General, Mexico Montevideo, U.S. Embassy, Uruguay Montreal, U.S. Consulate General, Canada U.S. Mission to the International Civil Aviation Organization or ICAO, Moravian Gate, Czechoslovakia Moroni, U.S. Embassy, Comoros Mortlock Islands Micronesia, Federated States of Moscow, U.S. Embassy, Soviet Union Mozambique Channel Indian Ocean Mulej, U.S. Consular Agency, Mexico Munich, U.S. Consulate General, Federal Republic of Germany Musandam Peninsula Oman, United Arab Emirates Muscat, U.S. Embassy, Oman Muscat, and Oman Myanmar. Burmanaha, U.S. Consulate General, Japan Nairobi, U.S. Embassy, Kenya Nampo Shoto Japan Naples, U.S. Consulate General, Italy Nassau, U.S. Embassy, the Bahamas Natuna Besar Islands Indonesia and Jamaica, U.S. Embassy, Chad Netherlands, East Indies Indonesia Netherlands Guyana, Suriname Nevis Street Kitts, and Nevis New Delhi, U.S. Embassy, India Newfoundland Canada, New Guinea Indonesia, Papua New Guinea New Hebrides Vanuatu New Siberian Islands, Soviet Union New Territories Hong Kong New York, U.S. Mission United States to the United Nations or USUN, Niamey, U.S. Embassy, Niger Nice, U.S. Consular Agency, France Nicobar Islands India Nicosia, U.S. Embassy, Cyprus Nightingale Island St. Helena, North Atlantic Ocean North Channel Atlantic Ocean, Northeast Providence Channel Atlantic Ocean, Northern Epirus Albania, Greece Northern Grenadines St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Northern Ireland, United Kingdom, Northern Rhodesia Zambia, North Island, New Zealand North Korea, North Pacific Ocean, North Sea Atlantic Ocean, North Vietnam, Northwest Passages Arctic Ocean, North Yemen Arab Republic Norwegian, Sea Atlantic Ocean Nouakchott, U.S. Embassy, Mauritania Novaya Zemlya Soviet Union Nuevo Laredo, U.S. Consulate, Mexico Nyasaland Malawi Oahu United States Oaxaca, U.S. Consular Agency, Mexico Ocean Island Banaba, Kiribati Ocean Island, Kure Island, United States Ogaden Ethiopia, Somalia Oil Islands, Chagos Archipelago, British Indian Ocean Territory Okhotsk, Sea of Pacific Ocean Okinawa Japan Oman, Gulf of Indian Ocean Ombai Strait Pacific Ocean Oporto, U.S. Consulate, Portugal Oran, U.S. Consulate, Algeria Okrazond, The Sound, Atlantic Ocean Orkney Islands United Kingdom Osaka Kobe, U.S. Consulate General, Japan Oslo, U.S. Embassy, Norway Otranto, Strait of Atlantic Ocean Ottawa, U.S. Embassy, Canada Ouagadougou, U.S. Embassy, Burkina Outer Mongolia, Pagan, Northern Mariana Islands, Palau Pacific Islands, Trust Territory of the Palawan Philippines Palermo, U.S. Consulate General, Italy Pauc Strait Indian Ocean Palma de Mallorca Spain, U.S. Consular Agency, Pamirs China, Soviet Union Panama, U.S. Embassy, Panama Canal Panama, Gulf of Pacific Ocean Paramaribo, U.S. Embassy, Suriname Paris Vela, Japan Paris, U.S. Embassy, U.S. Mission to France the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development or OECD, U.S. Observer Mission at the UN Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization or UNESCO, Pascua, Isla de Easter Island, Chile, Pashtunistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Peking, Beijing, China, Pemba Island, Tanzania, Pentland Firth, Atlantic Ocean, Param, Yemen, People's Democratic Republic of Palau Strait, La Pacific Ocean, Persian Gulf, Indian Ocean, Perth, U.S. Consulate, Australia, Pescadores, Taiwan, Peshawar, U.S. Consulate, Pakistan, Peter I Island, Antarctica, Phillip Island, Norfolk Island, Philippines Sea, Pacific Ocean, Phoenix Islands, Kiribati Pines, Isle of Cuba, Isla de la Juventud, Pura, U.S. Consular Agency, Peru, Pleasant Island, Nauru, Ponape, Pohnpei, Micronesia, Ponta Delgada, U.S. Consulate, Portugal, Port-au-Prince, U.S. Embassy, Haiti, Port Louis, U.S. Embassy, Mauritius, Port Moresby, U.S. Embassy, Papua New Guinea, Porto Alegre, U.S. Consulate, Brazil, Port of Spain, U.S. Embassy, Trinidad and Tobago, Port Said, U.S. Consular Agency, Egypt, Portuguese, Guinea-Bissau, Portuguese, Timor, East Timor, Indonesia, Poznan, U.S. Consulate, Poland, Prague, U.S. Embassy, Czechoslovakia, Praia, U.S. Embassy, Cape Verde, Pretoria, U.S. Embassy, South Africa, Pribilof Islands, United States, Prince Edward Island, Canada, Prince Edward Islands, South Africa, Prince Patrick Island, Canada, Principe, Sao Tome and Principe, Puerto Plata, U.S. Consular Agency, Dominican Republic, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, U.S. Consular Agency, Pusan, U.S. Consulate, South Korea, Pyongyang, Korea, North Quebec, U.S. Consulate General, Canada, Queen Charlotte Islands, Canada, Queen Elizabeth Islands, Canada, Queen Maud Land, Antarctica, claimed by Norway, Quito, U.S. Embassy, Ecuador, Rabat, U.S. Embassy, Morocco, Raleigh Chain, Marshall Islands, Rangoon, U.S. Embassy, Burma, Radak Chain, Marshall Islands, Recife, U.S. Consulate, Brazil, Redonda, Antigua, and Barbuda, Red Sea, Indian Ocean, Revillagigedo Island, United States, Revillagigedo Islands, Mexico, Reykjavik, U.S. Embassy, Iceland, Rhodes, Greece, Rhodesia, Zimbabwe, Rhodesia, Northern Zambia, Rhodesia, Southern Zimbabwe, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, U.S. Consulate General, Rio de Oro, Western Sahara, Rio Muni, Equatorial Guinea, Riyadh, U.S. Embassy, Saudi Arabia, Robinson Crusoe Island, Chile, Masa Tierra, Rocas, Atoll das Brazil, Rockall, disputed, United Kingdom, Rodriguez, Mauritius, Rome, U.S. Embassy, U.S. Mission to Italy, the UN Agencies for Food and Agriculture or FODAC, Roncador Cay, Columbia, Roosevelt Island, Antarctica, Ross, Dependency, Antarctica, claimed by New Zealand, Ross Island, Antarctica, Ross Sea, Antarctica, Rota, Northern Mariana Islands, Rotuma, Fiji, Ryukyu Islands, Japan, Saba, Netherlands, Antilles, Sabah, Malaysia, Sable Island, Canada, Sahel, Burkina, Cape Verde, Chad, the Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Mali, Mauritania, Niger, Senegal, Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, St. Brandon, Mauritius Street, Christopher and Nevis Street, Kitts and Nevis, St. George's, U.S. Embassy, Grenada, St. George's Channel, Atlantic Ocean, St. John's, U.S. Embassy, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Lawrence, Gulf of Atlantic Ocean, St. Lawrence Island, United States, St. Lawrence Seaway, Atlantic Ocean, St. Martin, Guadeloupe, St. Martin, Netherlands, Antilles, St. Paul Island, Canada, St. Paul Island, United States, St. Paul Island, Île St. Paul, French Southern and Antarctic Land, St. Peter and St. Paul Rock, Brazil, Penedos de São Pedro e São Paulo, St. Vincent Passage, Atlantic Ocean, Saipan, Northern Mariana Island, Sakhalin Island, Ostrov Sakhalin, Soviet Union, Sala y Gomez, Isla, Chile, Salisbury, Harare, Zimbabwe, Salvador de Bahia, Brazil, U.S. Consular Agency, Salzburg, U.S. Consulate General, Austria, Sanaa, U.S. Embassy, Yemen Arab Republic, San Ambrosio, Chile, San Andres y Providencia, Colombia, Archipelagos San Bernardino Strait, Pacific Ocean, San Felix, Isla, Chile, San Jose, U.S. Embassy, Costa Rica, San Luis Potosí, Mexico, U.S. Consular Agency, San Miguel Allende, Mexico, U.S. Consular Agency, San Salvador, U.S. Embassy, El Salvador, Santa Cruz, U.S. Consular Agency, Bolivia, Santa Cruz Island, Solomon Island, Santiago, U.S. Embassy, Chile, Santo Domingo, U.S. Embassy, Dominican Republic, São Luís, U.S. Consular Agency, Brazil Sao Paulo, U.S. Consulate General, Brazil Sao Pedro. Sao Paulo, Brazil Pinedos de Sapporo, U.S. Consulate General, Japan Saputi Strait Indian Ocean Sarawak Malaysia Sardinia, Italy Sargasso Sea Atlantic Ocean Sark, Guernsey Scotia Sea Atlantic Ocean, Scotland United Kingdom Scott Island Antarctica Senyavin Islands Micronesia, Federated States of Seoul, U.S. Embassy, Korea, South Serena Bank Columbia Serenilla Bank Columbia Severnaya Zemlya, Northland, Soviet Union Seville, U.S. Consular Agency, Spain Shag Island Heard Island and McDonald Island Shag, Rocks Falkland Islands, Islas Malvinas, Shanghai, U.S. Consulate General, China Shenyang, U.S. Consulate General, China Shetland Islands United Kingdom Shikoku Japan Shikotan, Shikotan 2, Japan Siam, Thailand Sibutu Passage Pacific Ocean, Sicily, Italy Sicily, Strait of Atlantic Ocean Sikkim India Sinai, Egypt Singapore, U.S. Embassy, Singapore Strait Pacific Ocean Xinjiang, Xinjiang, China St. Eustatius Netherlands Antilles St. Martin, Netherlands Antilles Skagerrak Atlantic, Ocean Slovakia Czechoslovakia Society Islands French Polynesia, Îles de la Société, Socotra Yemen, People's Democratic Republic of Sofia, U.S. Embassy, Bulgaria Solomon Islands, Northern Papua New Guinea Solomon Islands, Southern Solomon Islands Solomon Sea Pacific Ocean Songkhla, U.S. Consulate, Thailand Sound, the O'Rsund, Atlantic Ocean, South Atlantic Ocean, South China Sea Pacific Ocean, Southern Grenadines Grenada, Southern Rhodesia, Zimbabwe South Georgia, and the South Sandwich Islands South Island New Zealand South Korea, South Orkney Islands Antarctica, South Pacific Ocean South Sandwich Islands South Georgia, and the South Sandwich Islands South Shetland Islands Antarctica South Tyrol, Italy, South Vietnam, Southwest Africa, Namibia, South Yemen, People's Democratic Republic of Spanish Guinea, Equatorial Guinea Spanish, Sahara Western, Sahara Spitsbergen, Svalbard, Stockholm, U.S. Embassy, Sweden Strasbourg, U.S. Consulate General, France Stuttgart, U.S. Consulate General, Federal Republic of Germany Suez, Gulf of Indian Ocean Sulu Archipelago, Philippines Sulu Sea Pacific Ocean, Sumatra Indonesia, Sumba Indonesia Sunda Islands, Indonesia, Malaysia Sunda Strait Indian Ocean Surabaya, U.S. Consulate, Indonesia Surigao Strait Pacific Ocean, Suriname Suva, U.S. Embassy, Fiji Swains Island American Samoa, Swan Islands Honduras Sydney, U.S. Consulate General, Australia Tahiti French Polynesia, Taipei Taiwan, Taiwan Strait Pacific Ocean Tampico, U.S. Consular Agency, Mexico Tanganyika Tanzania Tangier, U.S. Consulate General, Morocco Tarawa Kiribati Tartar Strait Pacific Ocean Tasmania, Australia Tasman, Sea Pacific Ocean Timor Peninsula Soviet Union, Polyo-Ostrov Tamara, Tegucigalpa, U.S. Embassy, Honduras Tehran, U.S. Post not maintained, Iran representation by Swiss Embassy, Tel Aviv, U.S. Embassy, Israel Terra Adeli Land, Antarctica, claimed by France, Thailand, Gulf of Pacific Ocean Thessaloniki Greece, U.S. Consulate General, Thurston Island Antarctica Tibet, Zizing, China Tierra del Fuego Argentina, Chile Tijuana, U.S. Consulate General, Mexico Timor Indonesia Timor Sea Indian Ocean Tinin Northern Mariana Islands Tehran, Strait of Indian Ocean Tobago Trinidad and Tobago Tokyo, U.S. Embassy, Japan Tonkin, Gulf of Pacific Ocean Toronto, U.S. Consulate General, Canada Torres Strait Pacific Ocean Transjordan Jordan Transkei, South Africa Transylvania Romania Trieste, U.S. Consular Agency, Italy Trindade, Ilha de Brazil Tripoli, U.S. Post not maintained, Libya representation by Belgian Embassy, Tristan. Da Cunha Group, St. Helena, Trobriand Islands, Papua New Guinea, Trucial States, United Arab Emirates, Truk Islands, Micronesia, Sagaru Strait, Pacific Ocean, Tuamotu Islands, Isles Tuamotu, French Polynesia, Tubuai Islands, Isles Tubuai, French Polynesia, Tunis, U.S. Embassy, Tunisia, Turin, U.S. Consulate, Italy, Turkish Straits, Atlantic Ocean, Turks Island Passage, Atlantic Ocean, Tyrol, South Italy, Tyrrhenian Sea, Atlantic Ocean, Eudorn, U.S. Consulate, Thailand, Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, Ulleungdo, Korea, South Unimak Pass. Strait, Pacific Ocean, United Arab Republic, Egypt. Syria, Upper Volta, Burkina Vaduz, U.S. Post not maintained. Liechtenstein representation from Zurich, Switzerland. Vacan Corridor, Afghanistan. Wakin, Valencia, U.S. Consular Agency. Spain, Valletta, U.S. Embassy. Malta, Vancouver, U.S. Consulate General. Canada, Vancouver Island, Canada, Van Diemen, Strait, Pacific Ocean, Vatican City. U.S. Embassy. Vatican City, Valles de la Gomera. Penn Spain, Vinda, South Africa, Veracruz, U.S. Consular Agency. Mexico Verde. Island Passage, Pacific Ocean, Victoria, U.S. Embassy. Seychelles, Vienna, U.S. Embassy. U.S. Mission Austria to international organizations in Vienna or UNV, Vientiane, U.S. Embassy. Laos, Volcano Islands, Japan, Vostok Island, Kiribati, Vrangilia. Ostrov, Soviet Union. Wrangel Island. Wakan Corridor, Afghanistan, now Vacan Corridor. Wales, United Kingdom, Walvis Bay, South Africa, Warsaw. U.S. Embassy. Poland, Washington, D.C. The Permanent United States Mission of the USA to the Organization of American States, or OAS. Weddell Sea, Atlantic Ocean, Wellington, U.S. Embassy. New Zealand, Western Channel, Pacific Ocean, West Korea Strait. West Germany, Germany. Federal Republic of West Korea Strait, Pacific Ocean, Western Channel. West Pakistan, Pakistan, Wetar Strait, Pacific Ocean, White Sea, Arctic Ocean, Windhoek, Namibia, Windward Passage, Atlantic Ocean, Winnipeg. U.S. Consular Agency, Canada, Wrangel Island. Ostrov, Vrangilia. Soviet Union, Yaoundé, U.S. Embassy. Cameroon, Yap Islands, Micronesia, Yellow Sea, Pacific Ocean, Yemen. Aden, Yemen, People's Democratic Republic of Yemen, North Yemen, Arab Republic, Yemen. Sana'a, Yemen, Arab Republic, Yemen. South Yemen, People's Democratic Republic of Youth, Isle of Cuba, Isla de la Juventud. Yucatan Channel, Atlantic Ocean, Zagreb. U.S. Consulate General. Yugoslavia, Zanzibar, Tanzania, Zurich. U.S. Consulate General, Switzerland.